Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Dez, and tonight we're going to be playing a game called Tiny Bunny. Now, I read the reviews on this game and it says that it has overwhelmingly positive reviews. It has like over 8,000 reviews. And apparently this game is still in development. Something having to do with kids going missing, and you play as one of these kids that's being traumatized by these creatures. Yeah. So, I'm interested in it. Let's do this. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was wandering through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days, and it was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Oh, did you see that, guys? It kind of looked like a fox. Episode 1. The Owl Will Arrive.
Убери книгу немедленно.
Hey, put away your book.
Сколько раз говорила,
How
не
many
читай за
times have I
столом,
told you
вредно.
not to read at the
Сидишь,
table?
сутулился
It's
весь.
bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olia had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic. She almost looked like your typical girl from commercials.
Пока не съешь, из-за стола
You're
не
not going
встанешь.
anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Coste Odyssey. Cousteau Odyssey? I think so. I love that show. I wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is, or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes.
Что я
What did I
говорила?
just say?
Я достану.
I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved on the other side of the table? Karina. Ha, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No. She's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. Yeah, I wouldn't remind her about it. She'd probably just pop you beside the head. I imagined her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Or the thick forest? I imagined my grandma coming to my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice.
Тайга
Taiga
особое место,
is a special
детятка.
place, little girl.
Она к тебе
It's watching you closely,
присматривается,
sniffing you out,
принюхивается, словно хочет
trying to
понять, что ты
discern
за
what kind
зверь
of beast you
такой.
are.
Понравишься,
If
в
you're a
беде
good
не
sort,
бросит.
it will abandon you in times of trouble.
А будешь
But if you're a
проказничать,
bad apple,
схватит за
it'll
бочок
grab you by the
и
side and
утащит
drag
с
you under
собой
the
под
ground.
землю. Тут и дело
And
с
that
концом.
wouldn't be it. Oh, wait. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket. Dang! That's messed up. Your daughter already bought a casket for you and you're not even dead yet? That's cold. And she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. Ooh, that's disgusting. Meat-colored material? The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olya was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass.
Оля, гляди, лиса!
Oh yeah, look, it's a fox. See, I knew that. I knew it was a fox. Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of student notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle.
Да не на улице, на
Not
стекле.
outside, on the window.
Смотри, вот нос,
Look,
вот.
here's the nose, and here's...
Ну-ка, доедай.
Hey, eat up.
Да, да, сейчас.
Yes, just a moment.
Я ничего не
I don't see
вижу.
anything.
Живо.
Hurry up.
Совсем
There's
немного
not much
осталось.
left.
А,
There it is.
но все
But
равно
it
не
still
похоже.
doesn't look like one.
А я говорю, похоже.
And I'm telling you it does.
Не-а.
Nuh-uh.
Похоже.
It does.
Прекратите.
Stop it.
Ну
These
что за
kids,
дети?
I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox yet either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frost pattern, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the grass. My dad entered the kitchen with long measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. My mom would always ask jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stings." This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olya always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, "What's the point in all this?" through the wall. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply, "for the sake of our family." I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-V-O. Divorce. No, I'm kidding. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families.
Да что твоя лиса?
Anyway, your fox
Вот у
is
меня
nothing.
на
I have
окне
an owl in my
сова.
window.
Опять ты со своей совой.
You and your owl talk again.
Так ты же вчера
You said
мне
you
верил.
believed me just yesterday.
Никто
Has
ключи от
anybody seen my
машины не
car
видел?
keys?
Вроде оставлял на
I remember
подоконнике.
leaving them on the windowsill.
Вроде.
Right.
Вроде оставлял,
Maybe you
вроде
did.
нет.
Maybe not.
Вроде взрослый
You're
мужчина,
a grown
отец
man,
двоих детей,
a
а
father
вроде...
of two, and still.
Перестань, пожалуйста,
Karina,
Карина.
please stop.
Дай мне
Just let me
спокойно
get ready in
собраться.
peace.
В корзине твои ключи, возле телефона.
Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Of course, Mom always
Огромное
knows
тебе
where everything
человеческое
is.
спасибо.
Well, thank you very much.
Антон, ешь быстрее, а то как
Антон,
мученик сидишь.
Stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already.
А сова?
But the owl.
Не было там
There was
никакой
no
совы.
Была!
But there was one.
Глазюки
It had
огромные!
giant glowing eyes. Oya sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each.
В прошлом году бабай в
Last year you
шкафу.
had
Сейчас сова?
Babe in your closet, and now there's an owl? Alright, what's Babe? Let's see. Babe. In Slavic folklore, a nocturnal spirit used by parents to threaten their ill-behaving children. So it's kind of like the boogeyman.
Ну я же видела!
But I saw it. Olya shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support.
А ты не думала подружиться
Have
с
you
ней,
thought
нет?
about befriending it?
Вымышленными
You know,
мышами
like feeding
покормить,
it with
например.
imaginary mice?
Не подначивай ребенка.
Don't bully our girl.
Просто мала еще.
She's
И
just
спать
afraid
одна
to
боится.
sleep alone because she's still little. Olya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed, and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on incredibly worn-out cassette tape, which Dad already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects, by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room, and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Dang, this kid is like only, 11? And he's got a lot of shit on his mind, man. I feel bad for this kid. He's already like 21. So Olya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Now, for those of you that are watching this that don't know what a VCR is, back in the day, we used to have this thing called a VCR where we had tapes that we put movies into instead of watching it on YouTube or Netflix or DVDs or Blu-ray before all that. So, for y'all Z Nation people, no, I'm kidding. Alright, cartoons helped to take her mind off of the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Oh shit. And then Olya said she saw that giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After last night, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words. What to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? That night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect from my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures, cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with the icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Dang, that's a nightmare. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down? Stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number." Or, "Anton is not around. Anton is not around." I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds, just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet, cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody, and then I realized I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Yeah, right? Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out, with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around, and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. Oh shit. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with the giant leaps. Oh shit. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like the bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. They saw me. Oh my gosh. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself in with the blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma laying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of the chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. What the fuck? Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Buyan, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair, for the spawn from devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone, God's faithful servant, named and toned. Evil leave this house, must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hanged man. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone were scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remembered him staring at the forest intently, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and jolted the door with my eyes. It was flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then the doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. The door creaked open and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the carnivorous mouth of the doorway. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, "Tosha, you asleep?" My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief.
Оля, я не сплю.
Oh yeah,
Что случилось?
I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Oya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away. Tosha, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Oya down.
Это был сон, глупая.
It was just a dream, silly.
Сны не
Don't be
кусаются.
scared. Dreams don't
Никто
bite.
тебя не
No
обидит.
one's going to harm you. Oya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure
У
myself?
меня есть идея.
I have an idea.
Пойдем к тебе
Let's
в
go to
комнату.
your
Видик
room and
посмотрим.
watch the video of
Спящую
Sleeping
красавицу,
Beauty, for
например.
example.
Тебе же нравится этот
You like
мультик?
that cartoon, don't you?
Почему у спящей
Why does the
красавицы
Sleeping Beauty
принца у
have
меня
a
эта
prince and I
страшная
have this
птица?
scary bird? That question took me by surprise.
Ладно, давай
Alright,
посмотрим
let's watch
Золушку.
Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair.
Тоша, ты идешь?
Tosha, you coming?
Да,
Yes,
сейчас.
yes, just a moment. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olia and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guest could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Oya always hides. Tosha, come here. I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them toward the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video right here. I hope y'all enjoyed what has happened so far. I was not expecting for that wolf thing to come charging at me. That was crazy. Like something weird is going on here. I'm liking the game. It's pretty cool. I'm liking the storyline so far. Yeah. So go ahead and leave a like below and subscribe. That way I can keep on busting out these awesome indie games for you guys. And yeah, until next time.